Cumberland County High School teacher tries to get sensitive sexual and pronoun information out of his students. Surprise, surprise. Tennessee House Speaker caught going about 85 miles an hour in a 55 mile per hour zone has his driver get in a tussle with law enforcement because there are laws for thee but not for me, probably in a hurry to pick up some special interest PAC money. And we all know that he definitely wasn't in Cumberland County because he doesn't live there. Former Tennessee Representative Robin Smith, who sought sentencing while co-defendants were granting pardon, avoids jail time. More than 500 illegal aliens arrested in Hamilton County, hat tip to Austin Garrett, and a Tennessee bill aims to crack down on how AI can be used as a social and emotional support animal. And conservative State Representative Gino Bolso introduces a list of legislation that challenges LGBTQRS, LMNOP, QST special interest. An APSU professor who was fired for making really awful comments about Charlie Kirk's death, is reinstated and given $500,000. You can't make this stuff up. It's Brandon Lewis here, representing Republican primary voters as the publisher of the Tennessee Conservative News, the only real grassroots Republican and conservative news publication in the state of Tennessee. Although if you go to Google and search for it, you can't find it. Because big tech and the corporations own the media. And that's why it's so important for folks like you to support our mission and what we do here. And you can do that by going to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. And if there's some reason why you're one of the few people that has failed to give, even though you tune in to our programming or read our publication, please do that. We need you to act conservative, not just think conservative, because conservatism is a verb, it is not a noun. All right, here we go. More good news about the government-ran schools here in Tennessee. A Facebook post from a local mom in Cumberland County has sparked outrage after she revealed that her daughter was forced by her high school art teacher, he looks the part, to reveal invasive personal information like pronouns, sexual orientation, and religion for a class assignment. The post was made in a Facebook group and featured a concerned mother sharing her daughter's photo and text regarding her first day of visual arts class, because gosh knows that when kids are drawing or painting or making pottery, that we definitely need to talk to them about this stuff. Most comments on the post expressed indignation. The Tennessee Conservative, of course, contacted several school officials by email and voicemail, but did not get a response back for publication. Because they don't serve you, they serve their own special interest. It is the state's largest government job factory, and they protect their own, and they do not serve the parents or the taxpayers well. And so she is asking people to show up to the Board of Education meeting on January 22nd to take appropriate action. Cumberland County, I think this is the county that Cameron Sexton doesn't live in, if I don't mistake myself. And so it is interesting that things like this would be going on in his, I would say backyard, but at a place where he rents apparently an apartment or a condo or something. Tennessee House Speaker, taxpayer-funded escort pulled over for speeding. Rules for thee, not for me. Basically, these guys are going 85 miles an hour in a 55 mile per hour zone, which everybody knows is unsafe. And the driver gets physical with the cop. And, you know, Cameron Sexton's a big deal, is basically what the dude tells him. And then they drive off and nothing happens. It's just like some of these other stories that we're going to read here, is that when the powerful in Tennessee break the law, nothing happens, and it gets swept under the rug, even when they should be held to a higher standard than your average citizen. And so following the incident, and this is the thing that chaps my aspirin, Sexton's chief of staff filed a citizen complaint, sparking an internal investigation about whether or not the Metro officer violated policy. No, that he filed a complaint because his boss got bad press, and it looks bad because it is bad. And so instead of just saying, man, y'all probably need to slow down and actually obey the law, he's like, I wonder if we could go ruin this police officer's life over here by making a complaint. Real nice. Real nice. Former Tennessee State Rep Robin Smith, who sought resentencing while co defendants were granted pardons to avoid jail time. U.S. District Judge Eli J. Richardson's ruling was filed approximately an hour before Robin Smith was scheduled to report to federal prison in West Virginia to serve an 8-month sentence. Instead, she will now face only a year of probation, and her original fine of $7,500 has been reduced to $100. Smith co-defendants, a former Tennessee House Speaker Glenn Cassada, and Cade Cawthorn, his ex-aide, were granted pardons. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. This was not political persecution. This was not political persecution. This was about them trying to form a fake company and get a pittance of franking money, which is government money spent so that state reps and state senators can mail their constituents about specific things. And they wanted to get some piece of it by doing it for the reps instead of having it sent to a private company. And again, this is what happens when people try to make their living off of peddling influence and they get up to Nashville. And instead of just serving and then making their money doing something else, which is what I do, they're like, let's see while I get the, people have sent me up here to be a legislator. Like, I wonder if I could, weasel my way into special interest and become a lobby. I wonder if I could get some lobbying money somehow. I wonder if I could get my hands on some of these tax dollars through contracts or whatever it happens to be. And that's exactly what this is. And, they may have gotten pardons from President Trump, but they still tried to take the money in a dishonest fashion. And they probably have already paid their dues through attorney's fees and embarrassment and everything else. But this is all over, 52 grand in taxpayer funds. And this is her and her co-defendant. So split it 3 ways. 50 grand divided by 3, what's that come out to? I don't know, about 15 grand, 16 grand, something like that. It's not much. So this is the thing that is the funniest. Where does it say it here? I'll get it. Yes, she said, this is Rich. In her motion for resentencing, Smith's attorney said that the lesser sentence would mitigate the manifest justice that result from Smith being the only one of 3 conspirators to face consequences for the criminal activity, which I agree. But she said that she was unfairly targeted for prosecution due to decades of political grassroots efforts in the conservative sphere. There's nothing conservative about serving special interest up in the legislature. There's nothing conservative about trying to take taxpayer money and enrich yourself through it. Like, that's not what this was about. But the good news is, for everybody involved in this and so many other things, is folks have short memories. Folks have short memories, and you will probably see these people pop up again in about 3 or 4 years after everybody's forgotten what has happened, and be right up there doing the same old thing again. That would be my guess. More than 500 illegal aliens arrested in Hamilton County in 2025, according to data released by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office earlier. It's up to 513, with most of the detainees being from Guatemala and Mexico. And this is all because of these ICE coordination programs that law enforcement organizations can get involved with. It shows that between July and August of 2025, law enforcement jumped 57% in apprehensions, and between November and December, 87 individuals were arrested. And most of these charge categories are traffic violations, registration issues, drunk driving. Bulk of the arrest, again, Guatemala and Mexico, although other regions are listed: Latin America, South America, Africa, Southeast Asia. As a whole, Tennessee has transferred more people from its jails into ICE custody in recent months, more than almost any other state. And again, we've got 40 counties across the state participating in these types of ICE coordination programs. While we don't have 95, given the fact that we have 95 counties, that'd be a good piece of legislation for someone to pass, is that they have to do it. That would be very helpful in the upcoming legislative session. Guys, we had our annual fund campaign, and it was decent, but it was down. I say, I come on here, I should just start singing old spirituals or something because it's like this, but it's decent. But it was down, as it is for many conservative organizations across the state because we've got Trump complacency syndrome. So if you could chip in, it's still coming in dribs and drabs. If you've gotten a phone call, you've gotten an email, if you've gotten a text message, a letter, and you still haven't given, I don't know what will motivate you to do it. So please come in here and join us. If you do get value, if you do think conservative news at the state and local level is important, that would be awesome. You can mail your checks to P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377. That is P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377. As I have repeatedly stated, I take zero money out of the Tennessee Conservative. I'm still not as bad as it was, but I'm about $120,000, $130,000 in the hole, which beats the 170 to 180 that I used to be. But I'm still negative. I just do this as a volunteer. I make all my money as a business coach. And so that is what has allowed this publication to continue, because I do a lot of important functions, but I do it as a volunteer. So if you'd like to, I'm donating my time, and I have donated my money. And so that's why I can fully expect you to donate yours, because we need at least one unbiased publication for GOP primary voters in Tennessee. And I try my best to do that, even though we're not the most professional outfit out there sometimes, because we have limited resources and time. It's kind of what you get from folks that do things part-time, do it as a volunteer, do it because it's a passion project. But that would be great. Or go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. We'd love your help. Tennessee bill aims to crack down on how AI interacts with people for emotional support. I don't know why I think this is funny somehow. I think it's just when I think about how society is going, where everything is about being on a screen, everything's about being on your phone, everything's about what technology can do. And the further we go down the rabbit hole there, the less happy we seem to be. I recently went to a Make Tennessee Healthy Again event with Michelle Renault. And they had a great speaker who, I think his name was Robert Barnes. I hope I didn't mess that up. Who spoke about the Amish community and how when you survey them, they're like some of the happiest people, some of the healthiest people. And they disdain technology. They don't eat processed food. They're not in front of their computers all the time. So everything that is being sold by corporate America, here is this test group of people that basically have nothing to do with that, and they seem to be living better lives by far than the average American. And when I read stuff like this, it just makes me think of that. So broadening the scope of Tennessee's Elvis Act, which protects musicians from AI theft, the proposed legislation would target both general AI software programs and chatbots for regulation. They're not looking for business and things like that. But the bill details unlawful training of artificial intelligence to include training AI to provide emotional support through open-ended conversations with the user, emotional relationship, or otherwise act as a companion to an individual. It could be mimicked to be the same kind of support provided by mental health or healthcare professionals would likewise be illegal. So basically, you can't buddy up with AI. You're going to have to hang out with your friends and family, because we all know talking to a robot just gets you into trouble. You just ask the doctor on Lost in Space. Danger, danger. Now, that was a pretty good robot. That was pretty good. RoboCop was a pretty good robot, kind of weird. But then there are bad robots. There are bad robots out there. Voltron, good robot. Robies, bad robot. So I guess we're trying to make sure that the good ones and the bad ones can be sorted out. Gino Bulso, a state representative who would have made a much better pick for congressman than the COVID czar that we put in there, but I digress. House Bill 1473 states that private citizens and organizations should not be bound by the U.S. Supreme Court's interpretation of the 14th Amendment in Obergefell versus Hodge to require and recognize marriage or purported marriage between individuals of the same sex. It always prohibit the judiciary from disciplining, sanctioning, or threatening discipline or sanction to any person declining to celebrate or officiate a marriage or commitment ceremony that falls outside of the definition in Tennessee code, which explicitly classifies it as between a man and a woman. Now, here's one that Randy McNally and many Republican senators could not get behind, because we had a vote like this just to remove the, pride flags from classrooms, and most of them on the education committee left the classroom. Randy McNally stayed in there and voted with the Democrats. So this one ain't going to get a vote from Randy McNally. But it's No Pride Flag Month or Act, which would mandate a gay pride flag emblem must not be displayed or maintained on property owned by the state or political subdivision of the state, or in a building or grounds or any such building by an employee, volunteer, agent, etc. And so it would also prevent these subdivisions from any actions that recognize or acknowledge the month of noon as a period of blah, 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 which I think that'd be a good thing to do. We don't need that kind of distraction. I mean, Tennessee government, there's some bright spots in it, but mainly it's like Strugglesville. And so we need to get back to the basics and the fundamentals and do those well before we start tinkering around with celebrating things that, frankly, most Tennesseans, it's not our shared value. I'm dragging. You shouldn't drink this stuff. Shouldn't drink this stuff, but I usually get one about every 2 weeks when I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'll tell you why I'm tired at the end, as if anyone cares, but I'll throw it out there. A PSU professor fired for Charlie Kirk comments reinstated and awarded $500,000 from college. If I had known that this was possible, I probably would have made some nasty comments and maybe could have been an adjunct professor at UTC. And if I'd got $500,000, then I could have donated it back to TPUSA. I'm just thinking of ways that I could have helped. A professor at Austin Peay University who was terminated for degrading remarks about the assassination of Charlie Kirk has been reinstated to his position because the school failed to follow the proper procedure for firing tenured employees. They didn't take the right steps, didn't fill out the paperwork properly. As part of the settlement agreement, the Clarksville-based university will pay this dude $500,000 and reimburse him, get this, for therapeutic counseling services. So here's a guy whose coarse remarks, he could not take into consideration that a woman had lost her husband and that children had lost their father and that many people in the nation had lost an icon. He got shot in the neck and killed, lost his life. He didn't think that was a big deal. What's his name again? I don't know if it's in here somewhere. Darren Michael. He couldn't see that any of that would cause any harm. But when his little butt gets fired from teaching kids, he's got to go sit down and talk to somebody. Michael, you know what I did when I got fired? I don't know that I've ever been fired. I left a job that I would have probably been fired from after I got out of college because I was not performing very well. I don't think I recall ever being fired. But if I got fired, you know what I'd do, buddy? I'd do the same thing my grandpa or any other man that was actually not born in a recent time of life where beta males have to like constantly crawl to counselors and everything else every time something happens. I'd have gone and got another job. I wouldn't even need to talk to anybody about it. I'd gotten on the phone, I would have done whatever, and I'd just gone somewhere else. Why these people want to be reinstated to institutions from which they've been fired, I suppose, just to get a pile of money. But they don't make men out of the same stuff that they used to. And I'm not saying that there aren't times in life when people need to go talk to somebody. But I will share my opinion on two things. Number one, almost everybody I know that has ever gotten into therapy and counseling seems to have been worse for it than better. And have often, in my opinion, as I go talk to them, I'm like, that sounds like really bad advice. Sounds like really bad advice. And I have known some therapists and counselors over the years, not all, but most of them, I'm like, good grief, your life is chaos. If I needed some help, you'd be the last person I'd come talk to about it at all, ever. I think you're much better off finding someone who is successful where you are struggling, and hopefully somebody of good character that is a friend or someone at church, and getting advice from them, I think you're a lot better off. But I think the pendulum swings in our society. There probably was a time where, people buried their feelings down deep, didn't address trauma issues, whatever, and and their life was not good because of it, or maybe even ended. But sometimes I wonder, as our culture is moved, if we haven't lost our grit so much, and if we haven't turned to these often corporately driven counseling and therapy businesses, 'cause that's what they are, as a business, right? Your counsel, it's kind of like in many cases, there are situations where you don't want your client to get better because you can't keep the money. Like, you don't want America to get healthy because you can't put them on so many pills. You want them in the doctor's office all the time. You want to be billing them and subscribing them and doing surgery for them and everything else. You don't want them to just eat better and walk around the neighborhood and maybe show up to the gym every once in a while, because that'll, would keep them out of 75% of doctor visits. So I'm just commentary, things that have drifted through the social media waves. I'll be honest with you. I pretty much have tuned out of national politics. But I did that a long time ago when I started running the Tennessee Conservative, because I've got very little bandwidth outside of my business and my family and my friends, and people depend on me for state news. So that's what I've always kept my attention for. But I was excited to see that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has turned the food pyramid upside down. That should have happened a long time ago. Like, let's pump ourselves full of starches and carbs that are highly processed and a bunch of garbage first. And then if we can get around to it, let's eat some lean meat, protein, and vegetables. So it'd be great. I mean, I think that's a monumental achievement. I think that's, hopefully, if we can educate some people and we can change some behavior, I mean, I think we could help people's health out a lot in the volunteer state and other places. So what's going on this weekend? Well, what is going on this weekend? I'm working. My annual conference is coming up the last weekend in January, and so that always just buries me in a mountain of work. And I've got some shifts I've got to make in my consulting business because the landscape has changed, and I've made a few realizations. So I've been working on some of that stuff as well. But that's been about it. And I don't know that I have done the news since the holidays. We had a great Christmas. It was fun. It is just packed, packed. One thing about collecting friends over the years, which I have done, I try to stay in touch with people. I try to be a good friend. But we have developed all these holiday-related traditions with all kinds of different people, folks from church, some people, not many, from politics, old friends, fraternity brothers, folks from back home, friends that I've made over the years. And so we just went and went and went and went and went. And we had people over and people over and people over and people over. It's like a hotel at our house, and which I enjoy, but it does wear you out a little bit. New Year's was fun. So what did I get for Christmas? I know y'all are very interested. My wife got me a record player because my old one gave up the ghost and really didn't have very good sound quality to begin with. And I got some records, which I really enjoyed. What else did I get? My friend Tommy gave me some night vision glasses, which are kind of neat. So I put them on. They're like, got some little camera thing on them. I don't know. And he gave me a He-Man, a Skeletor plushie, and a few other things. So I mean, those are my big Christmas things that I can think of. Did I buy myself any gifts this year? I don't think I did. I can't remember. So I got my wife some emerald, not real emerald, uh, earrings, and then I got her like a basket of. She bought a bunch of her own Christmas presents this year. I got her a basket full of stuff that I thought that she would need. Uh, a massaging heating pad. She's always using a heating pad in the bed or wherever else, and so I got her one of those, and um, It's one of those mirrors that makes your face bigger that you use, because I noticed she didn't have one of those, and she's always putting on her makeup. One of those things that stirs drinks, because ours is always getting lost. And then a bunch of little knickknacks, and I put it all in a basket. And so we're going to go on a big trip as a family, and that's another Christmas present that we threw in there. So we had less under the tree this year, but probably more outlay for doing things that really matter. I think that experiences are a lot better than buying a bunch of plastic stuff that you don't really need, because I'm not all about a bunch of clutter anyway. So that's what's going on this weekend. I don't think I've got any plans. I think I'm just going to go to church. I'm going to go to the gym and watch it rain, apparently. I don't know. Sunday, I think I'm going to get out in the yard. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm going to get out in the yard and do some things. Michelle Renault and her husband Chris were kind enough to give me a bunch of firewood. Not give me. Let me back up. They had it laying around in their field, and it was just rotting, and they had to get it out of the field so they could mow around it. And then their girls split it. And so I paid the girls $100 so they'd have some money for splitting it, which is very cheap. You get firewood and you get it split. So they brought it over here, and we in haste stacked it up between two trees. And I had the girls were throwing it in there, and I was throwing it in there, and I got it about head high. And now the huge wall of wood has fallen down in the yard. So I got to go out there and restack that. And I may try to go do some hiking on Sunday. We go to church on Saturday nights because that's when the youth meets at our church. They have 2 Saturday services and 2 Sunday services, and so we go on the Saturday night service, which is nice. I like having a free Sunday. I never thought I would be so boring. I don't think it's boring now, but I would, if you'd asked me 15 years ago, I would have thought this was boring to spend my Saturday nights at church. But we go to church, and sometimes we eat, out after church, and we come home and watch a movie or something, and then I got all day Sunday. I can do what I want to with it. So that's nice. So I don't know why I felt like rambling and telling you what's going on, but I don't get to see many of you face to face, and these are the kind of rambling conversations you would have with me if you just picked up the phone and called. So sometimes I do that just because I feel like it's important to connect with the audience and let them know that, yeah, I'm just like you. I'm just living my life, trying to make sure that we can keep Tennessee red and conservative. And I think about politics, but it's not my life, right? I've got a company, I've got family, I've got friends, I've got hobbies, I've got interests, and politics and volunteerism is just part of that. But it needs to be a decent part. And a lot of that is, spending your time doing things that actually make a difference, knocking on doors, making phone calls, helping out candidates, going to the Capitol, calling your legislators, not just watching Fox News 20 hours a week. So if you have some time, gear up. The legislative session's about to start. Whack-a-mole. Yes, it's like we always have to watch them to see what they're doing. So it's starting up again. So we'll be reporting it to try to keep them honest. I tell people sometimes I think that we should just put the moniker underneath the Tennessee Conservatives to just say, we make government suck less. And then maybe in parentheses a little bit. Because we do help curtail some of the worst things that rhinos try to do through our reporting. And so we'll do it again this year with your help, God willing. All right, guys. Love you, mean it. Sorry for the low energy ramble. But we try to keep this thing authentic and do it in one take so you get what you get. Take care, guys. Love you. Mean it. I'll holler at you next week. Until then, it's Brandon Lewis here with the 10 Con Big 7, signing off. See ya.